Hey there, Nomads of Lore. I'm Jonathan, and as you can see, Sean is not with me today. This is a little different take on the norm. So we're gonna do a few of these videos, I think, where it's just kind of you getting just us, just our individual opinion on something, and then we may do a back and forth on it afterwards. But for now, we're gonna go through what my thoughts are when I finished the Wheel of Time book series. So I finally finished it. All 450 hours of Robert Jordan, Brandon Sanderson, Michael Kramer, and Kate Redding. Beautiful, beautiful 14 books. I haven't read the prequel yet. We'll get there. Don't worry. Don't freak out on me yet. But I just wanted to go through my initial thoughts, and I'm going to kind of go through my initial thoughts and then how they changed and morphed, and then kind of open up a discussion with you guys about how emotion and how our brain, our analytical side, can kind of be at a crossroads, and that's okay. So we'll jump in, and I'll kind of give you those first thoughts.
And I'm sure. I guess I'm not actually doing that at the moment. What I am doing is letting you know that this video is brought to you by Audible. As you probably know, if you've been watching any of our other videos, Jonathan and I have enjoyed Audible for years and years and years, long before we did YouTube at all, and we continue to use Audible to this day. I am currently re-listening to the Stormlight Archive and love it so much. This video, of course, is about the Wheel of Time, and of course, Michael Kramer and Kate Redding do an amazing job, and you can get those on Audible, and we are able to offer you a free 30-day trial of Audible, just for free for our listeners, and to get that trial, you go to audibletrial.com/nomads. As a part of that trial, not only do you get that free book of your choice that you get to keep forever and ever, even if you cancel it and pay $0, you also get access to Audible's huge library of podcasts and Audible originals. And also, more recently, they've started to offer a whole bunch of free books as well. I personally have listened to 2001: A Space Odyssey through that channel, and there are tons of other books that you can listen to for free during those 30 days. So check that out. Again, that link is audibletrial.com/nomads. audibletrial.com/NOMADS.
Now remember, this entire video is my opinion. You can agree or disagree with all of the points, and that's okay. And it's okay. It's okay. And also, it would be difficult to do this video without a little bit of spoilers, obviously, since I'm talking about one of the main story character arcs from book 1 all the way through book 14. So if you have not read all of the books, you should definitely get out now if you want to read them and are scared of spoilers. If you don't care, stay on. Let's do this. So my initial reaction when I got finished was basically I want more, first of all, and there's not enough to go around, and I'm sure that's how a lot of you felt. It's over, and there's not ever going to be any more, and it's terrifying and all the things. But then there was a little bit of me that started going, okay, why was this and this and this done? And specifically, there's some character arcs and endings to character arcs, and I'm not going to go into all of them. One that I can just say a little bit on right now is Lan. I had a problem with his fake out death and that weirdness. We don't have to go into a whole lot of detail, but specifically Rand and his arc and ending, and specifically his ending, I guess, really, I understand that the whole book is about balance. That was a big theme for Robert Jordan. And I understand that also part of Rand's arc is that he had to come to terms with this scary list of people that he thought he was responsible for, and come to terms with the fact that he's not responsible, and that it's okay that this happened. It's not his fault. These people died, and it's okay. And so, but it felt like he kind of cheated, and it felt like a cheat, and it felt like there were no real consequences. Actions have consequences, and he got away completely unscathed. I know, it's kind of a little bit ambiguous at the end of what kind of powers he has and all that, but just felt like I was wanting more for Rand's arc. Characters need several things to be good characters. They need an arc, they need motivation, and then they need some sort of sacrifice in the pursuit of that motivation. Interesting and compelling characters need an arc. They need to change when they're faced with a major life decision in order to be believable, in order to be entertaining and thought provoking. And for them to keep moving forward on that arc, they need plausible motivation. And what can increase the impact and importance of that motivation? Sacrifice. Whether it's a sacrifice that is physical, spiritual, or mental, sacrifice usually provides conflict and can be an extremely powerful plot device. So let's talk about Rand. With humble upbringings, this young farm boy wants nothing more than for things to go back to the way they were before Moraine. Before he and his friends were ripped from everything they knew, and before the pattern threaded Rand onto the journey for the remainder of the books. Rand's arc began beautifully. He was a naive boy who grew up to be a man forced to make decisions that impacted and had consequences for all those around him. And then, of course, we come to all of the times that Rand actually did have sacrifices. Rand had many, many repeated sacrifices throughout all these books. He had some sacrifice in Demise Wells. He had sacrifice when the Aes Sedai put him in a box. And he had many, many other places where he sacrificed so much, and it makes before the ending, when we're talking about gold veins of gold, whatever it's called. When we get to Veins of Gold, it makes that part so impactful and so beautiful, and the parts around that with Rand and his father and him coming back into the arms of his father, some really, really beautiful moments. But then we get to this god hero, amazing character that gets to the end. He fights the Dark One and ultimately puts everything aside to try to kill this Dark One. And he realizes he can't do it, because it's going to end everything or make things not be good. And so he puts him back in his prison or whatever. And then he just kind of switches bodies with one of the Forsaken and gets to walk away scot-free. And this ending just makes it feel like all of this sacrifice and all that Rand went through from beginning to end, everything that he did, it's like it cheapens it. It makes it feel less impactful. And it's like, why did he have to go through all this to just get there and nothing happen? And, he gets a brand new body. He gets his hand back. This was a big sacrifice that he made at one point, and it just cheapens it. So basically I'm saying, yes, I understand Rand had sacrifice. He had tremendous sacrifice. But the ending took away from that. It kind of pulled us back. It was like 2 steps forward and 4 steps back is how I felt. And I realize a part of my feelings were the feelings of another fake out death within the ocean of fake out deaths within this finale. Rand riding off into the sunset with a pipe in hand. And it's just like, realistic? I don't think so. I just knew this whole time that Rand was going to die. These were my initial thoughts. Like, Rand is going to die. I've been thinking that for books and books and books. I had to take a step back and I had to look at this thing differently than what I was looking at it. I had this emotional rampage of craziness going on in my brain that it was supposed to be a certain way, and I had to look at it as a whole, as a series like it was, and look at it a little more logically. Robert Jordan's entire premise, as I said earlier, is about balance. By keeping Rand from sacrificing himself in order to kill the Dark One, because of the world-breaking repercussions that this would have, RJ has kept this balance in place. That still, of course, leaves the ending where he gets away scot-free, but really there's some balance in that too, in the fact that he was able to change bodies with one of the Forsaken, and there's some yin-yang kind of stuff going on, some balance in that. In the worldview presented by Robert Jordan, you can't have true goodness without having evil, and you can't have true evil without having goodness. Okay, my brain understands that. It makes sense. It's logical, as I said. Rand's ending is fitting, but it's not realistic. His hand intact, his heart intact, and walking away without a care in the world. Of course, the rest of the world is in shambles and all kinds of terrible things going on, but we're just talking about Rand. Now, I know what you're saying. Jonathan, fantasy isn't supposed to be realistic. It's the place to escape to, right? And I know, and I completely agree with that thought. And part of this is probably coming from somewhere else, some other unnamed IPs like Game of Thrones and Arcane and some other things that have come across my desk lately. I don't know if that's really the right word, but anyway, I have figured out that I now crave more authentic consequences, more authentic stakes, and not the ribeye kind. All of this to say the emotional side of my brain and the logical side of my brain, I don't remember which one's left and which one's right, but it doesn't matter. All of this to say those two sides disagreed about the ending of the Wheel of Time and Rand's arc within that ending and some other things. But you know what? That's okay. So many times when we try to figure out whether we like something or we dislike it, we find those two sides competing. And we usually try to silence or divorce one off from the other. If the logic side makes sense and you're a logical person, then you're going to get rid of the emotion. Or if you're an emotional person and you don't care about the logic, you're going to divorce the logic side and just be done with it. But both of those parts are a part of you. And if they disagree, that's okay. You can be okay with that, and we can be okay with that. Again, it's okay to listen to them, and it's okay for them to disagree. And even worse than just trying to silence one, our emotions or logic, it's worse when we try to silence them both. And sometimes that happens. We try to silence both of them, whether it's internally for ourselves or externally for those around us, because we live in a world filled to the brim with echo chambers. And instead of working through something and listening to multiple points of view and listening to those around you, listening to somebody you might not agree with, we get stuck in this hive mind and we never actually make a decision or a stance or a belief in anything of real substance. So the question still begs, did I enjoy the Wheel of Time? And yes, I did. And I do. Does my emotional side and my logical side still disagree? Yes, they do. And my opinions have changed over time, and they probably will continue to change. And is that a cop-out? I don't know. That's up for you to decide, I guess. But that's how it is. They change. I listen to people. I listen to people online, YouTube, and talk to people about my thoughts and how I feel. And people bring up other thoughts of why these things are okay. And I'm like, oh, yeah, and take some of that in. It's okay for you to like, love, hate, or even be unsure about how you feel about the Wheel of Time. It's okay for your opinion on the Wheel of Time to change over time. Time. The only thing that's not okay is for you to jump on board with all the other yahoos, including Sean and myself, and not give yourself enough time to form your own opinion. But that's just my thoughts on the matter. Hope you guys enjoyed it. What are your thoughts on the Wheel of Time and how it ended? We'll see you in the next one.